I'm Brittany. I'm a licensed elementary school teacher, but I'm staying home right now with my two littles, and we're going to talk today about building your own science curriculum for elementary school. So I saw the question recently online from a family that was trying to budget for their curriculum next year, and they said what curriculum would be inexpensive that we could order for our elementary school student to homeschool next year for science. And the short of the answer is you don't need a science curriculum for an elementary school student. You really don't. Science should be fun in elementary school. It should be really the child learning to explore the world around them. God made us such a wonderful world, and there's so many fun things that kids can learn to do hands-on and through books, and we really don't need a curriculum for that. When I was in my student teaching for second grade, we would get these kits, and I don't remember, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I don't remember what they were called, but there was a specific type of kit. And they would come with soil and, different things you could touch and materials. And I mean, the intent was good, but really, compared to what science can be for elementary school students, it was so boring. Not the teacher's fault, and really, honestly, it's not the curriculum builder's fault. It's really hard to teach science to a class of 25 7-year-olds. It just really is. And there are just so many more fun and less expensive ways to do science than having to buy the kits and the pre-made stuff and the curriculum. Now, of course, you can do this. Some people don't want to deal with building their own stuff, and I understand that. But if you can, it can be so much more fun. And hold on, I'm going to adjust my microphone here. It's like pinching my shirt weird. Okay, there we go. Especially the little bitties. Now, when you get into junior high and high school, yes, you need to make sure that your child is doing stuff that, is going to count when they graduate. And different states require different things. I'm not going to get into all that. But for little bitties, you really don't need a curriculum. And I'm going to show you what I did this year. Now, my children are 2 and 5. And when they started this, they were 1 and 4. And the fun thing was, though, even my 1-year-old, he knows what a planet is. He can identify one, and he can't name all of them, but he knows what a planet is, and he loves books about space. He loves books about rockets and the moon and stars and planets, and it's so much fun to see that come alive. I had a little guy. He's not little anymore. He's in the Air Force Academy now, which makes me feel super old. But when I babysat as a teenager for a family at our church, he wanted me to read him an aeronautical encyclopedia for his bedtime story. That was what he wanted. Like, I actually had to read the words for his bedtime story. And really, there are so many ways to make that. That means his parents were doing something right. There are so many ways to make things fun for kids. Now, not all kids will be interested in aeronautical science. They're not. Some kids will be interested in other things. But really, if you make learning an adventure, they're going to be interested in a lot. And okay, so we're going to start with now I will say, depending on what you want to do is, what kind of budget you have, you can always make, pay less, pay more. I'm kind of a science nerd myself, so is my husband, so we pay a little bit more for our science, but you don't have to. That's the thing, is you really don't have to. What we did this year is I went through my planner. Now, I designed this planner, and I will link to my planner episode about how to plan for your school year. I designed this planner, and this is my 2-year-old's artwork. He found this in a pink pen and went to work. But I made this planner basically to be exactly what I wanted, because I am a planner snob. I'm very picky about what's in it. And at the beginning, what I did is I put aside pages that are specific goal pages, things that I wanted us to study this year. Now, given the age of my children, there's not like a checklist that they have to learn this year because they're so young. Once again, when you get into the older grades, yes, there are certain things they have to learn. They have to learn basic chemistry and basic biology and that kind of stuff. But when you're in elementary school, I honestly think children learn way more if we don't keep them on a very strict schedule of what they're going to learn. We need to kind of follow their interests and encourage them and build them up and expose them to new interests. And they're going to learn a lot more than if you give them a curriculum with all these worksheets. Okay, so this is my science page. And what I did is I came up with the list of science topics that I wanted to look at this year. I used my daughter, who was 4 at the time, to help me come up with them. And these were the things we came up with. Now, we didn't get to all of these. These were just ideas. And what I could do when I felt like the kids were getting tired of one particular area of study is we would just pick another and go to it. I'll read some of these out loud. Space, magnets, bugs, seasons, farming and plants, ocean, deserts, rainforest, reptiles and dinosaurs, states of matter, animals, geology, Grand Canyon, coral forests, Hoover Dam, weather and space. Okay, so as you can tell, some of these are much larger concepts than others. So others are very specific, such as Hoover Dam. And that's just the fun of teaching elementary school science, is you can pick all these things that sound cool and do them. And when you're done, you're done. You don't have to worry about testing. You don't have to worry about are they going to be able to do a project on this? When they're little, just have fun with it. And they're going to learn so much more. And what I do for our science is I have a mix of things. Now, let's take space, for example. Space is one of my kids' favorite topics. We spent, I think, longer on space than anything else. That was at the beginning of the year. I have several DVD. I have a DVD on space that we got at a used library book sale. If you go on, Netflix, they've got The Magic School Bus, has multiple space episodes. If you go to Cat in the Hat, I don't know, I think there's a specific space episode. I know they have books on it. And if you go to the library, there are almost endless books on all of the stuff that you can find. And one of the most amazing things about using books is that you can tailor the books to what you need. So let's see, pull one out of here. I have a huge stack of books here. Where is that? Oh, hold on. Okay, so this is another book. This is a book that I bought. I went to an Usborne party, like I said, recently. I don't go to those usually because I spend lots of money. But this one, I was looking for more science books because our library is closed due to quarantine. And so I spent more than I usually would because we don't have access to our usual hordes of books at the library. But okay, so Dr. Maggie's Grand Tour of the Solar System. My 1-year-old is obviously not old enough to understand all of this. Let's see, let's pull up. Okay, the International Space Station. My 1-year-old has no idea what an international anything is, but I can teach him this is a space station, and it's kind of like a rocket ship. It goes up in outer space, and we can look at the pictures. If nothing else, you can look at pictures. You can rent or borrow from the library books or friends, books that are way too old for your children, and you can still look at the pictures, and kids love pictures of things in science. So this says, as we fly past the International Space Station, wave at the astronauts living on board. Oh, so you can have a discussion about astronauts who live on board. And then you can go onto YouTube. And I think they had one of the astronauts recently reading books to children from outer space. So you just kind of follow your fancy. You follow what the kids are interested in. If they like the idea of watching astronauts in space, maybe you won't study the International Space Station that much, but they'll learn about astronauts living in space. And you can talk about Tang and other ways, dehydrated food. You could order on Amazon, or they sell it at Hobby Lobby, the dehydrated ice cream. We got that once. And tell them, hey, this is the same ice cream that astronauts eat. And you can talk about gravity. Gravity, when you jump up and down and you have them jump up and down and you say gravity is what pulls you back down. But in space, if you jumped up, you wouldn't come back down. You would keep going till you hit your head on the ceiling. And having discussions like this are just fantastic. And you don't have to do them, you don't even always have to do them with a book. You can have these kind of discussions in your car as you're driving by. If your child looks outside at the moon, and you can talk about, if they see the craters, if they see the shadows on the moon, or why they see the sun or the moon during the day, or, why it seems like it's in different places. There's so many ways to explore science when kiddos are little that you can't do in a big classroom. okay, so let's go back to the pulling from books. So if this were a normal time, I would go to the library and I would get an entire stack of books on X, whatever we're studying. Now, my current unit of study with my kids is reptiles. Excuse me. So I have reptile books here. Now, I did order some more from for the Usborne party because I realized I'm kind of low on my science books. Again, things I would usually rent. Okay, so we're doing reptiles. I do have quite a few books here because my degree is in elementary ed, so I have a gazillion of my mom, who's also a teacher. She gave me a bunch of her books. I've been buying books for years. We just have a bunch. But so what I did is I have this DK book, the Concise Encyclopedia. Again, my 1-year-old is not going to read these tiny words, but they did have a section on, let's see, here's mammals, types of birds, fish, reptiles. So I sat my daughter and son down and we looked at this and we read the words and we talked about the pictures. My 1-year-old does not pay attention the way my 5-year-old does, but he does like the pictures. And this is nice because we can read the little individual sections without them getting too bored. My daughter's kind of obsessed with king cobras, so this was a big plus. Okay. We've also been we've been surfing Amazon Prime for episodes of the Kratt Brothers. If you haven't watched the Kratt Brother episodes, oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite shows for kids. I, to my knowledge, haven't heard them just mention anything with macroevolution. It's all more modern stuff. You know, this is just the way animals are and how they use their skills. And you can sit there and talk about, look at that amazing thing that God did for those animals. And I love them because they're mainly cartoons, but they also have the animal in the beginning and the end that you get to see. So we've been pulling up all of the Reptile Kratt Brother episodes, and we've been watching those recently. I recently ordered this from Usborne, and it gave us kind of an introduction at the beginning about what a reptile is, introduction to reptiles, and then we can skip around and we can pick different pages. Here's the cobra. Now, I will say, I don't believe in macroevolution. So when I read these, I do change the words sometimes. And as a parent, that's just discernment you're going to need to have for your kids, what you're okay with your kids reading and not reading. It provides a good opportunity for discussion, though, as to what's biblical and what's not, what you agree with and what you don't. Because they're going to be coming across this stuff the rest of their education. Might as well start having those discussions now. You don't have to go into the dirty details of what macroevolution is. You can just talk about what the Bible says and what we believe. I got this when we went to Red Rock Canyon's little gift shop. I'm from Nevada, Las Vegas. And when we went to whenever we go to a national park or a state park gift shop, I'm all over it. So my daughter's obsessed with snakes, so we got this little book, and she would just sit there and look at the pictures. She can't read these little tiny, she can read, but not these tiny little words. So she'll just sit and look at the pictures, and if she has a question about it, we'll sit down and we'll read the section. My mom gave me her old zoo books from her classroom, so this one, as you can see, has been well loved. But lots of rattlesnakes. So we'll go through, one spread a day. This is a super old, is this DK or Usborne? I don't know. My mom gave me this. The Encyclopedia of Awesome Animals. And it has a huge section in here on crocodilian reptiles. So we spent days going over that. Okay, and then in the new, no, I love this. I love this book. The Usborne Children's Encyclopedia. So super cool because every page has a QR code, and those QR codes lead to videos that you can show your kiddos. Again, use discernment, age, whatever. I don't let my kids on devices without me in general. I want to be nearby watching, but most of these QR codes are pretty cool, and they lead to places like Children's Health website for the body stuff. Where is it? Okay, so today we went through this page, and both my kids enjoyed it. And we were able to go to this the QR codes website, and it was a little video of little baby sea turtles trying to run out to sea. As you can see, there's so much to explore, and kids don't need to spend hours on science when they're little. They really don't. Do it kind of, we try to set aside one time per day, but do it as you feel like it. If your kids are going to watch TV, sometimes it's good to direct them to something educational. So sometimes I'll tell my kids, you can watch TV, but it has to be Kratt Brothers, or it has to be Magic School Bus, or, something to that effect. And again, if you get an entire pile of books from the library during normal time when you can actually go to the library. You can sit down and you have a huge pile of books, and you could even have your child, depending on how old they are, sit down and say, okay, for 10 minutes I want you to look at a book, any of these books in here, I want you to just sit and look at the pictures. If they're older, you can have them read sections. And so you can see how this working like this, just combining different parts of the world, can give you so much information for your children to look through. They're not going to remember everything they learn. Adults don't remember everything they learn. They're not going to remember all the specifics, but kids in public school don't either. The way that I'm looking at it is we are going to go through science every year. We won't cover the exact same things every year, but after a while we're going to start recycling. We're going to start going through again. They'll remember more the second time and more the third time, and they're going to start piecing the world together as a whole. We studied insects, was our last one. We spent a long time on insects. Bugs. Insects are a huge part of the bug study. We did a ton on bugs. My kids are kind of obsessed with honeybees. And we found a, what do you call it? A dead bumblebee. He was dead. I made my kids wait an entire day before I would get it and bring it in the house because I didn't want it coming back to life. But we found a dead bumblebee. Its stinger was gone. So we talked about how bees die after they use their stinger. And we have this, I'll link it in the notes, but we have this amazing microscope. I bought it for, I think, $25 for my daughter's Christmas gift. And we use that thing so much. We pull it out and it plugs in, it's a USB, it plugs into my computer, and voila, our computer turns into this giant microscope screen. And I will say it's obviously not what a real scientist would use, but for looking at bugs and leaves, it's fantastic. And so we sat there and we took all these screenshots of the bee, and I'll actually probably add some. I'll add some in the video because I took them, and you can save them with this camera on your computer. It's so cool. So we took those pictures and we talked about the different parts and what, asking questions. What do you think the bee uses for this? Why do you think the bee is fuzzy here? That kind of thing. And one of the biggest parts of homeschooling, and excuse me, I have allergies. I want to take a sip of tea. One of the biggest advantages of homeschooling are field trips. My husband and I grew up going to a lot of museums, state parks, lots of outdoor stuff. We love going to museums. My kids love going to museums. And so all of this will start to build together. It will start to connect. They're going to start making those connections in the brain. And the more you can help children connect to the world around them and make it all one coherent picture, the better they're going to remember their science when they get older. Because it's not just something that's in theory. They know multiple aspects of it. They know why, they know where, they know how, they know what. They're going to know that bees need flowers to survive, and flowers need bees to survive. And when you talk about flowers with plant life, you can talk about how, strawberries and other sorts of fruit, they flower, to make the fruit, and that serves the food chain. And so it all connects. And the more you can make those connections for your children, and you can help them learn to explore and love to learning to explore, the better set they're going to be for science when they get older. So yeah, all I can say is teach your children to love learning, teach them to love exploring, teach them to ask questions. And here's the other thing. When your children ask you questions, why does the bee do this? Or why does the rock look like that? Look it up. Stop what you're doing, or set aside a time to and say, that's a great question. We're going to go look at that. Maybe you have your child, if they're older, keep a journal of questions they have. And you set aside time to find the answer, and they write down the answer, or they draw a picture. As kids get older in elementary, having a science notebook can be lots of fun. And it doesn't need to be fancy. It can be a 10-cent spiral-bound notebook that they draw pictures in. Maybe they draw phases of the moon. As they get older, you can have them ask questions in there. You can have them do what's called a KWL chart, which is what they know at the beginning, what they want to know, and then at the end, what they learn. So K, know, W, want to know, L for learn. And you can have them do that kind of thing. You can have them record experiments. So maybe you do an experiment with plants. And so you can have them draw pictures every day of what the plant looks like and how it changed, and they can write down what they did. So as they get old, when they're little, keep it all based on fun. As they're older, have them take some responsibility in learning. You can talk about the scientific method of, making predictions, controlling experiments, trial and error, learning from mistakes. So again, it can be so much fun. Science for elementary, especially the younger elementary, they don't need a curriculum. They need to explore. They need fun. They need to understand the world as it is and see just what a beautiful creation God has made it. I will link to the microscope that I purchased for my daughter, and I'll add some pictures at the end of this from from some of our experiments. We have rocks, we have bees, and I'll put some of those in here as well. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comment section for YouTube, or email them to me at brittany.perl, that's perl.teach@gmail.com, or you can put them in the comment section on my blog post, brittanyperl.com. Okay, one quick addition here, two actually, that I forgot. I can talk about science all day. I wanted to actually show you the microscope that my daughter got for Christmas. And they have a million of these. Read the reviews before you pick one. A lot of them go on sale, but you want to make sure you're getting a good one. So here's a little stand, and it just snaps in to this little ridge here. And you can plug it in. See, it's USB thing right there. You plug it in, and this is this has lights, and that's where it looks down, and so it's tiny. And I love this thing because it is so little that it can, you can use this often without it being in the way. It actually, from what I understand, hooks to Android phones as well. So you could hook it to your phone if you have an Android and go outside, or your laptop. There is a little bit of hardware software you would download to your computer. Super easy. The other thing I wanted to add that I remembered was that you can also do little online mini courses for your kids. There's a STEAM class that I'm doing actually with my 5-year-old right now, and it's all the different ways that Disney uses science to create the magic of Disney World. Now, my daughter and I are kind of Disney World fanatics. We went together for the last time, our whole family did, last fall, because I had a writing conference down in Florida, and we figured, hey, why not? We'll go. Not hey, why not? It was very expensive, but it was really cool because this particular session or lesson set that I found, it's for kids that are older than her. It's supposed to be 5 through 8 year olds, 8 through 13 year olds. But because I'm doing it with her, I can stop the videos and I can explain it, and we can still do the experiments. So again, there are and I think I got it for like $25. A lot of this stuff you can actually gift to your children for birthdays and Christmas if they have something they're particularly interested in and you think that an online course would do them good. It's not something I could write down as, this is accredited, but it's something to feed that hunger, something to continue her learning, something that she enjoys. We're not done with it yet. So yeah, I just wanted to add that because there are just so many different ways you can use the internet and YouTube and books and classes and things like miniature microscopes or telescopes to fit your family. So basically you can create something that works for your family. You go on field trips that you guys can find nearby when you travel. So, there's no one right way to do science for littles. It's just continuing that exploration. All right, make sure if you haven't that you have liked this video and subscribed to make sure that you get more homeschool videos like this. I am trying to make sure that I have content that is helpful for people, especially those who are on a budget and aren't sure where to start. So make sure you do that. You can subscribe to my website, brittanyperl.com, to get free free printable content that I will continue sending out as I make it. And I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.